I'm Sian Larkin, and I'm the Manager of Design Services at PlanFirst in Auckland.
Yeah, hi, I'm Richard Fuller. I joined GIB about 3 years ago. Before I joined here, I was actually an architect registered architect for 22 years, running my own small practice, and just needed to get out and have a change. So I've joined this team at Winstone Wallboards, which is a technical advisor team.
I'm Brian Lush. I'm the National Partnership Manager looking after the group home build sector. So my role entails holding the relationship and key strategic sort of decisions and movements within the head office and key franchises of national builders.
We're going to be looking at some of GIB's products, specifically their Curveline and also their acoustic products.
But one of the good things to start on with the Curveline product range is, you would have seen, and other people would have seen, that more curves are showing up as trends lately on Pinterest and Instagram, and it has started here in New Zealand with a lot more curves coming into fashion. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the other options that can be curved, as well as the Curveline option there as well. But one of the really cool things there is that this is a really great way to add that little bit of sense of luxury to sort of your mid high-end sort of builds, and if you can bring it in to a good sort of practical price point. This is the GIB Curveline product here being curved. It comes as a 3.6 meter long length, it's 1.2 meters wide, it's 6.5 mil. That uses a system as 2 layers, so we use 2 6.5 mil layers there. And that sort of lines up quite nicely to a 13 mil plasterboard ranges. And as we can see down there, that 10 and 13 mil, just touching on that, those can be curved, but they're a much larger curving radius. So the minimum on a 10 millimeter product there would actually be 1 meter, with 13 mil being 1.2 as a minimum. The Curveline product range. So often we're seeing this used in commercial projects, in the entryways of high-end residential. So you can see here we recommend the use of a flexible metal track. We absolutely recommend there the use of metal studs. The least amount of movement in behind that curved wall is going to be preferable. But you can see there a double layer system. On the concave, your minimum radius that you can get down to is 450 dry and 250 wet. With the convex. And so one of the key things to remember when you're looking at the Curveline product ranges, it is going to highlight any flaws or improper installation part. So you're really going to want to aim for that level 5 finish. You're going to want to avoid too much high critical light. It is going to show up any tiny little imperfections. Really good level of finish, and you want a nice paint job put onto that as well. We don't recommend Curveline to be used in the ceiling space. If you did want to have a curve into the ceiling space, we do recommend the 10 and 13 mil plasterboard.
So we just get a few queries when we first introduced about being able to create like bulkheads, small bulkheads at your wall ceiling junction. You've got to make sure there's enough framing in there, and you still are fixing that framing at 200 centres.
So the Curveline can take a tile weight of up to 16 kgs per square metre. Practically, what that means is you're probably going to want them to use your sort of mosaic tiles over the top.
We'd actually state in our literature not to have a waterproof membrane over it. So it can be used in bathrooms, but not where it needs that waterproof membrane. So not in the shower area or shower over bath area.
The last sort of thing there on the all of our plasterboard systems and things that we talk about, it's always really important to remember that we use this non-toxic gypsum core. Highly specialised and formulated, but it can be recycled. Your clean off cuts from any can be recycled, brought back through into agricultural products, or hopefully further into the future, more of a circular economy brought into vogue.
How does a curved wall affect sound in my living room?
So depending on how the curved wall is actually done, a convex curved wall will dissipate the sound. Whereas a concave one will actually can capture that sound into a sort of a hot spot in a way. The overall combination of a curved wall with an acoustic board like a Braceline noise line has been used to great effect across the building industry more recently. And so we can see those two work quite well to reduce and dissipate the sound in your living spaces.
And then will Curveline improve the resale value of the home?
Yeah, it's a very much a luxury feature.
So having curves and curved corners is actually good feng shui for your house.
And can you retrofit it?
Yes.
So I'm going to just touch on our noise control systems and IT walls. So our main two documents or manuals that cover this is our GIB Noise Control Systems manual and our GIB Intertenancy Barrier Systems for Terrace Homes manual. So for noise control, the basic principles are fourfold, and you need to have all four to get good noise control from a wall. First, you need structural separation of your linings or frames, and that can be done by either a double timber frame, or where you've got a single timber frame, you need a resilient rail or resilient mount to help separate that lining from the frame. Then you need insulation, and that's your kind of fluffy stuff that fills the cavity. That helps trap the air and also stops airborne noise, and so traps that airborne noise from going through, and that's critical for the high frequency noise. Then you need mass, and with our systems, that mass is provided with the plasterboard wall linings, and our GIB noise line brace line is the wall lining with the higher density, and that's why we specify that in most of our noise control systems. And lastly is sealant. Noise is just like actually holding a bag of water in your hand. If you have some pinpricks in that bag, the water's going to leak out. That is exactly what noise does. It will find any small gap in your wall and leaks through to the other side. So I'm just going to go through our kind of three basic wall system offers. First one is what I deem a good system in that it actually meets New Zealand Building Code G6 requirements of 55 STC. And this is a single frame system. This is often popular because it is the most cost effective and also has the smallest footprint, being a single frame. The better system is our double frame noise control systems. These are more robust, and you achieve that acoustic isolation by a minimum 25mm gap between the frames. And as with the previous one, this one and the future one I'm going to talk to you about, all noise emitting devices should always be mounted away from IT walls. And then our best system is our GIB barrier line system. So that's when you look at the manual, the GIB Intertenancy Barrier Systems for Terrace Homes. This is a 25mm plasterboard central barrier installed between two frames with a minimum 25mm gap set out of that frame to that barrier. It's designed as a vertical noise separation, fire and noise, and it has very high fire and noise control performance, much higher than actually is required by the building code. So we have 4 timber frame barrier line systems and 2 steel frame barrier line systems. All have a 60-minute fire rating, whereas usually it's only a 30-minute requirement, and a noise control performance of STC 61 to 68, where you need 55. It is also durable. It has a mold and moisture resistant core. So I'm just going to touch on 4 details, but they are common details that have been asked for. So we have this GNS 345 and 346, which is your stepped roof detail between units. And this is a double frame system. So you've got your frame extending up on both sides. So the unit 2 on the right, the frame extends up to the underside of the roof of unit 1. And because of that cladding, which is on that higher roof facing unit 1, is actually on the framing of it's on the framing of unit 2. So it just needs to be compliant with E2. There's no combustibility restrictions on that cladding. But for the same detail on the one on the right, the 346, we've got the framing of unit 1 extending up only. So that wall above where the IT wall stops at the ceiling level of unit 1, that little wall extending up is its own two-way fire-rated wall system, and that cladding, because it's on the unit 1's framing but facing unit 2, would need to be non-combustible. And again, we've got 2 details for wing walls with double frame wall systems. Substitutions. So we often get asked about substitutions for different products. Is it going to perform the same, better or worse? They need to be tested to understand if it's going to have the same performance. So our standard response to substitutions is that if alternative products are substituted into GIB systems, it is the responsibility of the user to ensure that the performance of the system is not compromised. But yeah, going back to the original thing, if you're looking at alternative products and systems, then you're going to need that support from that provider of that system, of that product.
Thanks very much, guys. That was very informative, and I think we can actually talk about this or both these topics for a lot longer than what we've got time for today.
Good.
So we might dive into more detail in the future. Next week's topic, we're going to talk about how to choose the right materials for your home. There's our contact details for those of you that do want to contact us. Anytime, feel free. But that's it for this week, and we'll see you all again next week.